Okay, so I absolutely get it. You might be feeling some Quinn Hughes fatigue at this point, because the past 2 YouTube videos on this channel have been about him. And while it's true that this video that you're watching right now technically is a Quinn Hughes related video, I didn't really want to focus on the idea of Quinn going over to Detroit. I feel like we've hammered that nail down quite a bit already. Instead, because the Detroit Red Wings are playing a game later today, I wanted to talk about the guys from the Wings that are probably, more likely, coming over to Vancouver in some sort of a Quinn Hughes move, courtesy of some comments made by Elliotte Friedman on various shows. Let's start out with yesterday's edition of Canucks Central, featuring Satyar Shah and Bick Nazar. No longer Dan Riccio, by the way. He had a very emotional send-off as he went back home over to Toronto. But Sportsnet 650 had the scoop here, Bick and Sat talking with Elliotte Friedman. I don't think anything is going on with Quinn Hughes right now. I do think Detroit would be a potential match if the time ever comes. That's what Friedman said on the radio yesterday, and big shout out over to Canucks News Summaries for hitting us with the rest of the commentary here. In regards to Quinn Hughes, Elliotte Friedman does not think there's any trade talks involving him right now. If Hughes is ever available, the Red Wings are a potential match. Friedman also says here that he wasn't talking about Dylan Larkin when referencing a center on the Red Wings that the Vancouver Canucks would like. The Wings do have centers that he thinks could interest the Canucks. Now, Friedman did go out there and clarify once again on the Morning Cup of Hockey show, saying this: I think Detroit is a team to watch. Vancouver, they have to end up getting another center, and their best chance to do it is if they end up trading Hughes. So, there you go. Another commentary piece from Elliotte Friedman about the same thing. He said he wasn't talking about Dylan Larkin, so obviously this is a calming of the masses. Detroit trading away Larkin for Hughes would be kind of an in-and-out situation. Larkin, of course, is very valuable. He's very good. But he's not really the piece that I think Vancouver would be targeting, considering their age demographic targets and where exactly it is the franchise wants to go. This is where we had some extra commentary. Ryan Hanna of the Wing Wheel Pod went out there and saying this: it should have been obvious, but I don't blame Elliotte Friedman for clarifying his commentary. Not that Quinn Hughes isn't worth a Dylan Larkin, but any trade involving him, or Raymond, Seider, maybe Edvinsson, would set Detroit too far back to justify it. Kasper and Danielson are the centers that would fit. And for the most part, I look at this and I say, you know what? In general, the rule is if you're trading away one of the best players in the NHL, you gotta get one of the best players of your opposite team coming back the other way. And in Detroit's case, it would be a Larkin, a Raymond, a Seider, an Edvinsson. But this point is absolutely true. It might not even be worth it for a Detroit Red Wings team to trade away one of those pieces for Quinn Hughes, because the setback would be too much. There are already issues in the Detroit Red Wings lineup when it comes to depth and consistency, so trading away one of the more consistent players in a Quinn Hughes trade would literally just be value in, value out. You would need to trade away just other assets to try to add up to a Quinn Hughes value package, and that's where you start talking about Kasper and Danielson. Young guys, young centers who are at the very beginning of their NHL careers that fit right in the age range that Vancouver is looking for. Both of these guys are 21 years old, and they've got a lot of potential heading into the next few years. Never mind some of the replies that are going out there and talking about what other options could be there. Take a look at this. Nichols Nation went out there and said, oh, this trade from Yahoo is what I'm hoping for. I think the Wings win this trade. And this return package is absolutely abysmal. Vancouver would receive Danielson, Albert Johansson, Comfer, a first, and a second. Okay, I get it. Danielson and Albert Johansson are good players. JT Comfer, though, That guy's like negative value at this point. It's not great. And even the top reply says, I would let the Canucks peg me for the opportunity to say yes to this deal, which means the Canucks would obviously not accept it. If it doesn't cause you severe pain to consider, it's never gonna go through. And I think the same could be said about any package that is centered around a Kasper or a Danielson. It's not just going to be Kasper and a first and then add on another younger prospect. It's going to have to be some serious value here, maybe even 2 or 3 first-round picks if it's Quinn Hughes coming back the other way. Let's go over to the Grindline show. They went out there and said this: one of Nate Danielson or Marco Kasper is going to be a Vancouver Canuck. And you had some replies. Steve isn't moving Axel Sandin-Pellikka because it creates another hole on D. One of Kasper and Nate, plus Comfer and a first. I don't think that would be enough. The ASP hole is filled by Hughes. So, honestly, I think you would have to add on just so much more. If you get Axel Sandin-Pellikka alongside of a Danielson or a Kasper, I actually like that idea a lot. I would love to see Danielson plus a first plus Axel Sandin-Pellikka for Quinn Hughes. But of course, based off of the commentary from Elliotte Friedman, it does seem like a center is the priority here. Danielson and Kasper are both 2 pretty good ones, even though you can say Kasper, he has soured his value a little bit based off of his play this year. He has really gotten off to a poor start. He's not looking good. He's not looking confident. Nate Danielson, on the other hand, he's producing a little bit more, 4 points in 12 games for the Red Wings and 5 points in 4 Griffins games. But Nate Danielson did start out the year injured, so there's a little bit more of a hurdle for him to go through to get productive play this season. However, when it comes to one versus the other, I do like the offensive ceiling of a Nate Danielson just that much more than Marco Kasper. Even though both of these guys are dogs, even though both of them can play a pretty aggressive game, Nate Danielson is a guy that went out there and shut down Connor Bedard, all things considered, in the WHL. And I know Vancouver Canucks fans might have some PTSD when they hear about centers in the CHL shutting down a generational talent on the other team. I know Cole Castles of the Oshawa Generals was the McDavid kryptonite back in the day, and we made videos about that when it was talked about. Nate Danielson, while he may or may not necessarily be Bedard kryptonite, he could incite Connor Bedard to coming over to Vancouver if the going goes right. But obviously, that's a separate conversation for another day. Long story short, I would be very happy if Nate Danielson or even Marco Kasper were to come over to Vancouver. However, if I were to choose right now, I'd say Danielson has higher value, and he has better projectability into the long term just because of how Marco Kasper's season has gone so far. Obviously, there's a lot of potential in Kasper still for him to be able to get out of the trenches he is swimming in. He had 37 points in 77 games last year. He almost had 20 goals. That's a really good year out of a guy who was a first-year NHL player. At 20, nonetheless. So either would be fine, but I'd probably lean Danielson at this point, add on Axel Sandin-Pellikka, add on a first, and maybe you're kind of good with that. Maybe add on a second if you really don't like it. But any sort of a trade idea that's like, oh, JT Compher, Albert Johansson, and a first, like, absolutely not. You're going to have to give up some valuable assets. It's going to have to hurt. Detroit is going to have to sting from this trade if Quinn Hughes is the prize coming over to the Wings. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Danielson and or a Kasper? And or. What if it's both? Ooh. Nah, I'd rather have ASP. How do you feel about these two guys potentially being Canucks trade bait for a Quinn Hughes package, not Dylan Larkin? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.